Greetings, old school magic players, and welcome to the Four Horsemen. Greetings, old school magic players. Welcome to the Four Horsemen on a Sunday afternoon. Today, we're going to be covering our tournament number 19 quarterfinals. Tournament number 19 has been running from February 15th through March 16th, and we are in our top 8 quarterfinals brackets. Check us out at fourhorsemenmagic.com. And if you want to learn more about this tournament in particular, go to tournaments and click on tournament 19. Today we're going to be covering a match between Derek Saylor and Lorenzo Ricchetto. And we're not going to do the full deck tech today because the guys are waiting and ready to play their match. But Derek is playing a really interesting and spicy deck nicknamed Suck My Cock. And it's running Armageddon Clock, which is a really spicy and interesting card from Antiquities, and as well as some of the other spicy cards like Greed, Land Tax, Dark Heart of the Wood, Seven Library. It's a black, green, and white artifact combo deck, so really cool to see this. And Lorenzo is playing a deck we're calling Erhnam's Lust, red-green aggro. We're going to get over to the match. Okay, guys, I think we are ready to rock and roll. I just did a very quick snapshot of the deck photos, didn't do the full deck tech, but I know you guys are waiting, so let's get the show on the road.
All right. Okay, so I think Derek is starting first.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Okay, great.
Go.
And John, I'll call you directly on Messenger so we can commentate.
All right. Wow.
Okay, good luck, guys.
Amazing. Yeah, thanks.
How's it good?
Okay, John. I got the guys muted on the whereby, and so you and I can commentate on the match here.
Sounds good.
All right. So, yeah, these decks, we didn't have time to do our normal deck reviews, but this is going to be an interesting matchup because, it's red-green aggro versus Derek's more combo-y deck. He's running basically every restricted card we've got.
Neat. I like it. Looks like there's a strong start for Lorenzo here.
Yeah, coming out early with Curd Ape on turn 1 and Argothian Pixies on turn 2. That's about as good as you could ask for. Was that a turn 1 Mazavith on Derek's side? That's also pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I don't love playing it early because it doesn't add mana, but it's pretty good when the other guy's got creatures sitting there.
Yeah. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the deck photos yet, John, but I just published them in the Four Horsemen Facebook group, so they're right there at the top.
I'll go take a look.
Yeah, and that's pretty convenient that Derek's got that early strip mine to kind of slow down some of the beating that he would otherwise be taking here. That early Maze of Ith can really change a game. So on Derek's side, he's running green, white, splashing black. So he's got Spirit Links, he's got Land Tax, he's running Circle of Protection Artifact, and he's running, is that Armageddon Clock? I think is his spicy card for his combo.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah, so we haven't seen. I know he's messed around with Armageddon Clock before. Let me just pull it up here to kind of take a look at this card because it's not a card that it sees much play. Armageddon Clock. So it costs 6. It's a Antiquities continuous artifact with the old verbiage. So the new errata is, at the beginning of your upkeep, put a doom counter on Armageddon Clock. At the beginning of your draw step, Armageddon Clock deals damage to each player equal to the number of doom counters. You pay 4 and you can remove a doom counter, and any player may activate it. So when there's a ton of mana, players can pay 4 to, basically slow down the clock. But Derek's running COP artifacts, so he has protection from it. Pretty clever. So let's see. Lorenzo is getting in here with the Curd Ape Pixies beatdown, bloodlusting the Curd Apes there. Derek's been kind of holding his own. That Maze of Ith has really saved him here. He would have taken double or triple the damage he's taken so far if it weren't for that maze. He hasn't come into a Spirit Link. He's basically just played lands the entire game, so he's got a full grip there. He's gonna need to top deck a Spirit Link to turn this match around, or he's gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, he needs to mitigate that second creature. Well, now third. This could be a problem.
Yeah, it's looking rough for Derek. Oh, drop a honey. Well, it's a little slow for this scenario. It'll help, but it may not be enough soon enough. Some other answers Derek has here. Let's see. For the creatures in particular, he does have an Abyss. And he does have a Mirror Universe, but he probably won't be able to mana up to get that in play. He's got 4 Triskelions, 3 Clockwork Avians, and those are basically his only creatures. He does have an Arborea. A lot of control dynamics in this deck. In terms of life gain, he has 1 Ivory Tower, and he has 1 Dark Heart of the Wood. So he's really falling behind here. The drop of honey does not trigger on his opponent's upkeep, only on his upkeep. So he'll need a way to... He'll need some life game.
Is an Erhnam coming down?
Let's see. For Lorenzo, yes, Erhnam Jin.
Boom.
Yeah, we've not really talked about Lorenzo's deck, but Lorenzo's basically running. Looking at his deck here, he's running kind of just a straight up traditional red-green deck, but he's running Bloodlusts along with his Erhnams. Lots of Chain Lightnings, Pyrotechnics, Blood Moons. Blood Moon could be very crippling for Derek if he needs to get his combos off. His Black, Green, Dark Heart, and things like that. So yeah, I think Derek needs to quickly come into a Spirit Link or a life gain option, or he's going to get run over. Ivory Tower would do it. You know how frustrating that card could be. Oh, and he discards a main deck, Dust to Dust.
Yeah,
Look at that.
I think it's too late at this point.
Okay, so he did lose 1 Pixies, since the Pixies were tied for the greatest power. So Derek will be able to hold off the Erhnam with the Maze, but he'll still have at least 4 damage coming in. And he's already at 8. So if he takes another 4 on the chin, he'll be able to get rid of 1 more creature. But here's the other Bloodlust. Boom, right like that. And that is just straight up game right there. Wow, what a match. John, do you have the deck photos available? I'm going to switch over to the decks because I've got them in the PowerPoint. Okay, so taking a look at Lorenzo's deck, just straight up red-green aggro. You know, the 4 chains, the 4 pyrotechnics, the 4 bloodlusts, 4 Curd Apes, the 4 Erhnams, the 4 pixies, and 3 Triskelions to top it off. So
this is a kind of deck that we saw a lot of early on, and then it kind of faded out as the control decks like took hold.
Right.
But now it's certainly rolled back around in these last few tournaments with the new BNR.
Yeah. Now that the life gaining stuff has been clamped down. Greed is restricted. Ivory Tower is restricted. Dark Heart of the Wood is restricted. A lot of these life gaining mechanics were causing 3+ hour games, which we simply couldn't have, making the format too grindy to play. So that's swung the pendulum back in favor of aggro lately. And we just published the deck photos today, and we've seen a ton of aggro decks coming out in Tournament 19. Let's take a look at Derek's deck real quick. So the Suck My Clock pun is pretty funny. Great name for a deck. Like I said, he's got every restricted card we have. Greed. Land tax is not restricted, but he's got one of those. Dark Heart. He's got a single Mirror Universe, Sylvan Library, the Abyss, and the Maze. He's running main deck Divine Offerings, and he's running main deck Dust to Dust. I don't know if he needs those main deck Dust to Dusts. Seems like that was a bad choice, and he suffered from that in his game 1. Let's see if the guys are ready. They're shuffling up. I think we'll switch back over here in just a minute. Other things Derek's got going on. He does have the Arborea, a single Fellwar Stone, 3 drops of honey, and the Ivory Tower. That Ivory Tower or a Spirit Link could have really helped him out that last game. He didn't see it, so we'll see what happens on the sideboard match. I would assume he needs to sideboard in all of his creatures and take out those Dust to Dust. That Tabernacle could be useful as well. All right, the guys are drawing their hands, so we'll get back over to the match.
I imagine he'll probably bring in these oubliettes as well to help give him a little removal.
So Derek's taking a mulligan. The oubliettes, yes. I mean, those have the added benefit of extra removal, but the double black could be a challenge. He's only running, if you look at his mana base, he's running some really strange combinations of mana. I don't see Bayous down here. I just see City of Brass. So how many oubliettes does he have on the sideboard? Just 2 or 3? Looks like are those the special edition oubliettes you made, John?
Yeah, there's one new art one, and then there's one each of the different ones that I put together.
Yeah, if he does bring those in, he's going to have some double black considerations, which may be tricky for his deck. He's got all those City of Brass and only a couple of swamps. I'm wondering why he didn't run Bayous. I guess maybe he was worried about Blood Moon. Okay, so Derek took a mulligan, bottomed 1 card. Starts off interesting. He took the play. I might have taken the draw here, hoping to get an extra card and maybe come into a Spirit Link, which would be really ideal against all of Lorenzo's aggro. What do you think, John? I mean, there's a lot of debate about this draw versus play. I mean, his deck is slow anyways. It's not like he needs to be on the aggressive front, right?
I don't know. It's tough. But he also doesn't want the aggro deck to be a turn ahead of him. I mean, he's already got an uphill battle going on here, so it's a tough call.
Lorenzo gets turn 2 Pixies, so that's actually pretty good for Derek, not having to deal with a turn 1 Curdape. There's the Spirit Link that he never did see in the last game. Okay, so going to turn 3 for Lorenzo. He's got double red now. Is this a Blood Moon we're going to see early? There it is. Boom. So that's going to be a problem for Derek. All of his his savannas, the green-white savannas, are now mountains, and his workshop is also a mountain. So he probably could have dropped a Clockwork Avian here if it weren't for the Blood Moon. He comes in with a COP artifact. He also could have.
I think that Blood Moon is just game over.
Yeah, he also could have played his Armageddon Clock here with the 6 mana, or a Triskelion, or a Mirror. So, yeah, it looks like unless he's got more mana in hand and some answers, it's going to be a tough road. Pixies number 2 comes down. He is at 20 life, though, so Derek may be on the back foot, but if he gets a couple more mana out and gets to his kind of ideal 6 mana base, he can play a lot of cards in his deck still, including Triskelion, which could really help him, but won't stop those Pixies. I think the problem Derek's going to face now is a lot of his really functional cards, including his Drops of Honey, his Sylvan Library, and of course the Desert Twisters. He's running 2 of those main. They all cost green. If he sideboarded it in his Scavenger Folks or Crumbles, they cost green as well. And he does have 2, 4, 6, 8. He's got 9 basic forests, and he just drew one and played one here. So maybe he'll be okay. Let's see. Interesting that's first blood, right? We're on turn 5, and he's just now taking his first hit. So it is a big one, though, with the Bloodlust getting in for 6 damage. That's pretty tough. And now
Lorenzo, despite having quite a few creatures in his deck, is really failing to apply pressure here, which might give Derek the time he needs to do something.
Yeah, that's right. And that Spirit Link really held off that early Pixie, and the Blood Moon has the added advantage of, still giving mana, even though it's red mana. Triskelion comes down. Not ideal against the Pixies. The Pixies can't be damaged. We might need to tell those guys, hey guys, the Pixies cannot be damaged by an artifact. So that's not an answer for Pixies there. But the fact that he's gotten to 6 mana, that gives him access to Mirror Universe. It gives him access to his Armageddon Clock, and he's got that COP already in play. So who knows? Maybe we'll see Derek get his combo going after all. It'd be nice to see a win on Derek's part and get to the ubiquitous 1-1 match, right? It's always more exciting that way.
Oh yeah, we'd love to game 3 always.
All right, so if you're Lorenzo here, are you just hoping you're gonna, top deck all your Erhnams and just start beating in?
I'd just start pitching whatever he's got in his hand with that book and drawing cards. He needs to get some creatures on the board.
And Derek's hand count is only at 2, so he's not going to be able to rely on any of his stuff like Ivory Tower or anything like that. He may have even sided that out, considering how aggressive Lorenzo's deck is. He's fortunate to have had a lot of mana here. I think that's really helped him get his Triskelion down. But Drop of Honey. Now there's a great answer. That'll allow him to survive, at least to get rid of that Pixies.
Bloodlust. No.
Is it Bloodlust number 2?
No, he's just using the book. Would have been good though. Yeah, this is tough. Derek might just dig out of the hole here because Lorenzo's not really got much going on.
Right.
Well, there's the Erhnam, so that certainly helps.
Yeah, and in this case, he doesn't have the Maze of It to fall back on. He needs to top deck another Spirit Link here is what he needs, but it looks like he drew into another land, another City of Brass. So he is tapping 6 and playing a second Triskelion. Wow, what a salvation that is. So that'll be enough to block the Erhnam with both
Yeah, that's pretty
Triskelions.
good. He can just double block now and not even really have to use pop counters or anything. Just trade one of them.
Yeah, Triskelion is just such a strong card. It just really makes the format challenging, and it's such a dynamic card too. It's got so many uses in so many ways. Like in this scenario, the double blocking and the ability to deal damage is really strong. We got a nice crowd today, John. We got Jack, Tim, Lucas, Derek, Lorenzo, you, and me. Feels like a Friday night.
Yeah, it's good. Glad to see other people interested in watching.
Okay, so if you're Lorenzo right now, he's also down to a pretty low hand count. What are you thinking?
I mean, I don't even know what he really can draw here. I mean, I guess maybe some removal for one of the trikes. Does he? I guess I got to pop up his deck photo. Does he have? Does he have crumbles?
Well, Lorenzo.
He might have brought them in.
Let's see. Lorenzo has in his sideboard. He's got 2 crumbles, 2 infernos, 4 Beast of Borgadon, 4 active volcanoes, and 2 Stormseekers and a Felden's Cane. Pretty interesting sideboard. The Beast of Borgadon being pro-red, that's a spicy choice.
Yeah, well, it doesn't die to Inferno, so that's
right.
Kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
I thought about making a red-white deck with all the pro-red guys, and Inferno, it's just a lot of them are kind of pricey. There's the 5-drop, and there's also a white 6-drop and a white 4-drop. So he's really weighing whether or not to attack here. I don't think there's much value in attacking. I don't think he should.
Well, I mean, the drop of honey is going to start triggering. Did he just draw without triggering the drop, or did he trigger it? Looked like he forgot.
It does need to kill something.
Yeah, guys, doesn't drop of honey have to trigger on the upkeep here before you draw, Derek? Yeah, so they need to remember drop has to trigger. So of course, it's the smallest creature, the lowest power. At that point, it's the 2/1 spirit linked Argothian Pixies.
So this is interesting. So Lorenzo chose not to swing, which, thinking about it now, I feel like with the drop out there, he might as well have to try to trade for a trike. And I don't know, really swinging there with that trike wasn't that great. I would have blocked to force a trade, because the Erhnam's just going to get eaten by the drop next turn anyway if he doesn't play something.
Right.
I don't know. This seems a little bit. This seems bad for Lorenzo.
Yeah, it's a tough situation for Lorenzo for sure. Okay, so Chain Lightning to the face on Derek, bringing Derek
just
down.
All the damage to the face. Maybe he can just hit him with something again next turn.
Yeah.
He'll have a chance to draw and also a chance to loot. So it's possible he could just blow him out with direct damage.
All right, so the Erhnam bites it on the trigger. for the drop of honey. Wow, another Triskelion. So now he can get in for 8. And then he has 9 damage in triggers in Triskelion arms. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's gonna go ahead and just blow it right now. He's dead. It's game over. That's pretty funny.
Wow.
So we are indeed gonna get our game 3.
All right. Wow, what a turnaround for Derek. My goodness, that was really surprising, huh? All right, let's go back to the decks. So Derek, let's start with Derek's deck. I think he definitely needs to take out his Dust to Dust, and I don't know. He's got 3 COP artifacts. Does he really need all 3 CP artifacts? I know it's part of his combo.
That deck.
Yeah, I know it's definitely part of his combo in the Armageddon.
What am I? Right.
Oh.
Yeah, of course. Maybe I should have.
I gotta mute those guys. John, you still with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. My whereby just unmuted itself somehow, which is pretty odd. Okay, so back looking at the decks. Yeah, if I'm Derek, I'm taking out those 2 Dust to Dust for sure. I think, I don't know, does he need Divine Offerings? If we look at Lorenzo's deck, the only artifacts Lorenzo has, he does have 3 Jaloom Tomes, and he's got the 3 Triskelions, but your artifact kill is not good against Triskelion. However, those Divine Offerings are great to use on your own Triskelions once you've emptied the Triskelion arms. So I think those Divine Offerings are actually pretty good in this deck. The Crumbles could be another option to get rid of some of the drawing engine on the Jaloom Tome. What do you think, John? Do you have the decks up? What do you think the sideboards should be here?
Yeah, I think Derek just wants to bring in the extra removal, all of it that he can, and maybe even the extra creatures just for something
to block
with. Although I don't know, those scavenger folks aren't very good against anything in Lorenzo's deck, but maybe the oubliettes, maybe even the Desert Twister. I know it's expensive, but we saw that game. If he's able to hold him off early, he can, if he gets a drop of honey or something, he can have an extra piece of removal.
Yeah.
Blood Moon's interesting because we see this a lot with Blood Moon, where it seemed really great when it came down. It seemed like it was going to lock his opponent out of the game, but in the end, it probably would have been better if it was, anything else that was aggressive, because he brought that down and then it just sat there and it froze them out for a little bit, but eventually you're still going to be able to play those big colorless cards no matter whether your lands are red or not.
Right. Well, the guys are getting back to the match. I think if I were Lorenzo, I would just I'd swap out my 2 Winds of Change for those 2 Stormseekers and call it a day. But
Stormseeker seems like it'd be good, but like in the last match, Derek emptied his hand pretty quick, so I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, so Lorenzo gets turn 1 Mountain Curdape. He'll want a Tiger or a Forest for turn 2. Oh, wow, look at this. Turn 1 Ivory Tower for Derek. That could be a big problem for Lorenzo. Lorenzo does have a couple of crumbles in his sideboard. And I don't know if these guys had a chance to look at each other's deck photos. I think they did. Surely he sideboarded in those 2 crumbles. Maybe taking out 1 Jaloom Tome and maybe taking out the Mazavith. I don't think he really needs that. And in this turn 2 Forest for Lorenzo, so that will help him at least try and keep pace with the Ivory Tower life game, hopefully.
Well, he didn't play anything, though. It would have been much better if he would have been able to play a creature there. Because right now the tower and the ape are just washing.
Yeah, that is a killer card. It is restricted in Four Horsemen for good reason. Let's see if that makes the difference for Derek. Okay, turn 2, City of Brass and Sylvan Library. This is how good Sylvan Library is. Derek's willing to take less life and gain less to get that Sylvan Library in and start digging.
Yeah, he took a damage from the City of Brass to play it, and is gaining 1 less life. But it's a fantastic card. When you have card filtering and your opponent doesn't, it's a huge deal.
Now, of course, Lorenzo's running. Is he running Sylvan Library? Oh, yes, he is. So he's running Sylvan Library and 3 Jaloon Tomes. So he could come into his as well. He gets the Crumble. Look at that, John. That is only 1 of 2 crumbles in his deck, and he happens to...
It's going to make a big difference.
Yes, it's going to make a huge difference. Wow, that's really fortunate for Lorenzo, and good thing he sideboarded those in. He's not running Scavenger Folk or anything like that, so he really only has those 2 crumbles to deal with artifacts, which could be a big problem. Derek comes into a Plains. He's able to Spirit Link the Curdape. Now that is going to hold the Curdape at bay. Takes a damage from the City of Brass and plays a Felwar Stone. That is a 1-of for Derek. Just a 1-off Felwar Stone to allow him some extra mana and accelerate a little bit. We don't see too many decks only running a single Felwar Stone, right, John? That's pretty unusual. But that's a 1-of in Derek's deck. Okay, so Lorenzo plays Jaloon Tome and passes since his Curdape is Spirit Linked. Back to Derek. Plays a second City of Brass. Doesn't really like that damage, but does give him access to colors. Okay, Derek top decks or digs with Sylvan Library to get into a land tax and casts it on turn 5 here. 2 cards in hand, and he's passing. Okay, so Derek's starting to get set up. He's at 17 life. Lorenzo did not get that turn 1 Curdape, turn 2 Pixies like he was hoping to. It doesn't look like he's coming to an Erhnam either. There's Sylvan Library. That'll help him dig. Sylvan Library is such a strong card in Four Horsemen.
Yeah, it's looking a lot like last game, though, where he's just really failing to apply pressure, and now Derek's just going to get to do whatever he wants and stabilize.
Yeah, it's possible Lorenzo's got like a couple of Bloodlusts in his hand, right? And he doesn't have Erhnams. He doesn't have Argothian Pixies. So he's kind of stalling out. It's tough to see. It's tough to watch that occur because you know with all that aggression he's got. Let's see, he's got 15 creatures, so it's not the most creature heavy deck we've seen. It's, you know, when you've got the 4 Pyrotechnics and the 4 Chain Lightnings and the 4 Bloodlusts, plus he's running 3 Jaloon Tomes and the Sylvan, the 3 Blood Moons. All that stuff takes up a lot of room. There's 2 Winds of Change down there in the corner.
I'm pretty surprised he didn't use that tome before it went away, because what does he possibly have in his hand that's worth keeping? It's not creatures. I mean, what is he sitting on?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question.
Maybe more artifact removal for the trikes when they show up.
Maybe, yeah, maybe he's got, maybe, what if he's sitting on like 3 Pyrotechnics or something wacky like that, right? He can't play it.
Well, I mean, he could be. He's sitting on 4 lands, so maybe he's holding direct damage, but it's not enough to finish Derek off, so I don't know. I don't really know what he wants here.
All right, well, there's Erhnam number 1.
Erhnam's about as good as he can do, I think, right here. Hopefully it doesn't get linked or removed in some other way. Well, Derek does have double black if he needs it for Oubliette. Oh, there's a maze.
Oh, and he top decked it. Do you see that? Now that's how we see a top deck. when you get what you need, you just take it straight from the deck and you put it right into play.
Well, you knew it was there because of the Sylvan Library, so like it was pretty good. He's able to dig for it and then put it down.
Well, you know how we've talked about that before, John, with some of the things that have been going on. You see right there when you need something and you're looking for it and you get it. The natural excitement is to just pop that baby right from your deck right into play. Never even makes it into your hand.
Yeah, just call it and flip it over.
Right. Okay, so Pixie's coming down. So now Lorenzo's getting into some of his creatures, but Derek's getting established. He's got 5 mana. He's got a Maze of Ith. He's got land tax. It's interesting. He probably wouldn't have played that Maze of Ith if the Erhnam hadn't come down, because he wants to trigger land tax at some point in this game. He is taking damage off his City of Brass. Now this is interesting. Arborea.
Oh my God, Arborea.
Wow, Arborea. So Lorenzo has no ways to deal with enchantments. He does not have Desert Twisters in his board. He only has the 2 crumbles. He's got some, volcanic, active volcanoes, and he's got those Beasts of Borgadon in the Inferno. So his deck is not able to really deal with enchantments at all, even though he could be running Desert Twisters. Okay, so he plays Blood Moon. Well, I mean, in some ways that kind of does Derek a favor, because now he gets 3 of his mana are damaging him, but it does disable at least black in terms of color, and it disables his Maze of Ith, which I guess that's a strong enough reason to do it. And he's able to get in there for a big hit of 6 damage, getting in with Erhnam and Pixies. So what do you think, John? What's your prediction now? The game seems to be turning a little bit back in Lorenzo's favor, but oh, look at this. Derek plays his Desert Twister. So Derek is...
Yeah,
Go ahead, John.
I don't know. It's going to be tough. So there is a lot of direct damage in his deck, and he does have Derek down to 13.
Yeah, Derek's running 2 Desert Twisters main and 1 in the sideboard. He may have put them all in. But that was extremely timely for him to be able to play that Desert Twister, get rid of that Blood Moon. Now he's able to play the Desert Twister because of the Fellwar Stone. If he didn't have that Fellwar Stone, he wouldn't have double green. So he's getting... actually, wait a minute. Is there a basic forest over there? There is, yes. So that Fellwar is giving him green off that basic forest, even though the Blood Moon was in play. And his cities are mountains, so he's able to play that tap out and get rid of the Blood Moon. Now the Maze of Ith is back in play, and that is going to slow Lorenzo down. He's gonna need to make another big hit here. He needs that Bloodlust on whichever creature is not Maze of Ith. And maybe he should draw extra cards to try and get into... Oh, now see, he's got Maze of Ith here. I would have sideboarded that out. I'm really surprised he didn't take that out in game 3 here.
Yeah, I don't feel like he needs it. He's supposed to be the aggressor. But I guess now it just comes down to... it comes down to direct damage at some point. I don't know why Derek is letting himself be attacked. I mean, he doesn't need to play permanents. He can just let that Arborea do its work until he has something, or until he gains some life and gets out of range. He's really letting himself get low here.
So with Arborea says... The new wording is creatures can't attack unless that player can't attack a player unless that player casts a spell or put a non-token permanent onto the battlefield. So he played a spell. He played Desert Twister, And he did that to get rid of Blood Moon. But you're right. He could have just elected not to do anything, and then
he could have either played nothing, or he could have just twisted the Erhnam, which was an actual threat. I don't feel like the Blood Moon was really hurting him all that much. I mean, I guess he wanted his maze back, but I don't know.
Well, he's down to 8. And if he plays nothing now, Lorenzo can't attack. But Lorenzo doesn't need to attack to win. Lorenzo...
I want this game to end with Inferno.
Right? Well, Lorenzo's getting enough mana to get there. I mean, I really wish he had sided out that maze. He doesn't need it. That could have been a Inferno or a Chain or a Pyrotechnics or anything. The maze is completely useless to him. I'm shocked he didn't side it out. Okay, so Derek is digging with Sylvan. He's got 2 cards in hand. And just takes 1. It looks like he's just gonna pass turn here. We got Lucas and Tim joining us in the spectator crew. It's fun to have a lot of folks watching on a Sunday afternoon. All right, so Lorenzo wants to dig, and he wants to see Chain Lightning, Pyrotechnics, and Inferno. Any of those would be preferable here. Okay, now he's getting to 6 mana. Now, Inferno costs 7, right?
Yeah,
it's like double red and
5 and double red.
Yeah. Okay, so Triskelion comes down. Now, that's another source of damage for Lorenzo. So Lorenzo may still be able to pull this off after all. I think that you're right, John. Playing that Desert Twister, Arborea was in play before, so playing that Desert Twister allowed Lorenzo to attack and get in for that big hit. Causing Derek to take 6 damage that he really didn't need to take. He could have just passed turn, and none of those creatures could have attacked. And he could have held the Desert Twister. He could have triggered land tax by now, because he's at parity on no, let's see, 2, 4, 6. Well, he can trigger land tax anyway now, but he could have triggered it before. So the game could have gone very differently if he had just not played that Desert Twister to take out Blood Moon. All right, they're talking about land tax here. Let me listen in.
Where are they? Yeah, we're all alone.
Oh, I don't know. Chad, are you there?
Yeah, what's the question, guys?
Oh, okay. Yeah, Chad, we were asking. Yeah.
So the order is untap, upkeep, and then draw, right? So your untap step, then your upkeep step. You do not get to trigger.
Never mind. I was thinking this is upkeep. You're right.
Yeah, you don't get to trigger Sylvan during your upkeep. You trigger your upkeep and choose the order.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no conflict at all here because Sylvan's not doing upkeep at all.
During
the draw step.
Right?
Yeah, Sylvan Library is only triggered during your draw step. That's correct.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it has to trigger in that order, then it doesn't matter.
Okay, so Derek is benefiting from the interactions of Sylvan Library and land tax. He's able to not only trigger land tax and get those lands, 3 basic lands. He grabbed 2 swamp and a forest there, but he also gets to shuffle away whatever was on the top of his deck if he didn't like it. So that's one of the really powerful interactions between Sylvan Library and land tax. So now he'll get to look at 3 fresh new ones. Now, he's got 6 cards in hand. What would be really interesting, John, is if Lorenzo sided in his Stormseekers.
Well, I mean, it's game over if a Stormseeker comes down, because he can just pop him for the remainder with the strike.
Right.
Unless there's some life gain going on here. I mean, I know he's got probably at least another Divine Offering in his deck, but I don't know. This is pretty scary for Derek to be this low on life and not have a life gain plan. Well, he's got protection from the trike now anyway.
Wow, look at that. So
I actually think with that on the stack, Lorenzo should shoot him for 3, but he didn't. So,
ooh, yeah.
I certainly would have. I'd much rather have him at 5 than at 8.
Oh yeah, totally. I wonder if he thought to do that.
Well, and now he's got protection from his burn spells. So.
Oh, look at that. So this is the greater realm of preservation that's going to give Derek, for 1 and a white, he can protect himself against a red spell. Wow. So
here's the problem with this play, though, especially with playing those both in the same turn. Now, the Arborea is off the table for a turn, so it's not going to help him. And Lorenzo's going to be able to attack with 3 creatures. One of them will get mazed, but if he uses the circle on the trike, he's still going to take 2 damage, and he's still going to take 2 damage from the pixies. So, like, I don't feel like taking 4 here was worth playing both those cards. And he's going to take damage from City of Brass if he uses it to activate the circle. So, like, this is really, like, a bad place to be.
yeah. Yeah, I think I would have rather just waited it out and not played anything and just relied on Arborea here. Right? Because you can always play these things later when you have more mana. I mean, he's going to be able to... well, I guess he can't play a land either, right? Like, if you play a land...
So he's choosing to pop off the trike arms now, which I don't really know what the point of that is, when he could have attacked with it first as a 4/4 and then pop the arms off. Like, I don't... That also is not really optimum play at all.
He sees that Derek has his only mana untapped is City of Brass, so it doesn't help him to tap the city.
That's going to be true this turn too, though.
Yeah.
Like, he should have drawn and attacked and then done that.
Right. So Arborea says creatures can attack unless that player casts a spell or puts a non-token permanent. So lands count as a permanent. So playing a land also disables Arborea.
That's right.
Okay, so he can maze Triskelion, but he's going to maze Erhnam Jin, and he takes 3 damage. And now he's in Chain Lightning range, and he's only got City of Brass to hold it up. Oh, and look at there, Bloodlust. Oh my goodness, that's just game.
Yeah, he let himself get way too low, and he also didn't let his deck do what it's supposed to be doing. Like, he took so much damage that could have just been prevented by just sitting there and not playing permanents he didn't need to play.
Yeah. Wow. All right, well, let's listen in and hear what the guys are chatting about.
Anything to respond with, I think it's legal damage. Yeah, okay, wow. Ooh.
Yeah, had I survived, I think I would have eventually just locked you out. And...
Yeah, because with the Arborea down, yeah, and the basically the greater realm of preservation, I couldn't.
I would have prevented until I could gain life.
Everything, until you deck me, because I don't have anything at all against enchantments in my deck. Yeah, something that I don't have is some cards against enchantment. Well, I just drew this one in front of.
That was in there too.
Yeah, but you had the greater realm of preservation. So this was a dead card in my hand just now. So yeah, wow. Okay.
So Derek, when you played the Arborea, you were at a pretty high life total. I felt like you could lock up the game there, but there were like a couple different turns where you just like played stuff that I feel like you didn't really need to play, and then you just got cracked back pretty hard with damage.
I think you had the volume turned off. After a Desert Twister does Blood Moon, I told him that was a horrible idea and I should have just let the Blood Moon stick. And
Yeah, that's
that
what
was
we were...
the turn where the tide turned when you played the Twister when you didn't really need to, and then it kind of started to go south.
Yeah, I told him I didn't even think about it. I should have just leaned on the Arboreal.
That's right. That's right, Derek. That's exactly what we were commenting. We're like, I don't understand why Derek's not just leaning into Arboreal here. He can sit back and draw and trigger land tax, and he can just, wait to...
Yeah, I mean, I had the perfect set of cards out, and I should have just laid into it.
Yeah, because you ended up taking, like, I think it was it 8 damage, 6 or 8 damage that you didn't have to take from the... Because you played the Twister to get rid of the Blood Moon?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know why I did it. I even told him I don't know why I did that. I said I didn't have to. So I was better off not doing it.
Well, I mean, those first 2 games were really interesting because both of your decks did exactly what kind of they were designed to do. And this third game, we always want to see a third game. It was a bit of back and forth earlier, but yeah, once you played that Desert Twister, that seemed to be the point of no return because you just took so much damage. Also, those 3 City of Brass, you being locked into a scenario where you couldn't activate your circle of protection artifact or your greater realm without taking damage. And
they were actually better off being mountains.
Yeah, they were better off being mountains, which is another reason not to get rid of the Blood Moon. Anyway, well, good games, guys, and thanks for letting us do the live stream. Lorenzo, you are going to be proceeding on from quarterfinals to semifinals. And
wow.
This will be your first semifinals, right?
Yeah, and I'm so happy because you remember, Chad, I had to drop sadly the tournament before Christmas, and I was really, really angry about that. But
here you're back again.
I'm so happy now that I made it to the top 8, and now with this deck, I was not really confident about this red-green. I mean, red-green, I think, is a very strong and solid archetype in this kind of format because you have very, very strong creatures, direct damage, you can do some burn. But I wanted to try the black-green one that we played just for fun a couple of times, if you remember. the Arboreal deck. But then I decided to turn back to the red-green because I thought, okay, I really want to go to top 8 and maybe further. So I'm really happy to have reached this point.
Congrats, man. Yeah, the thing you're going to face is now that the top 8 decks are released, you can look through the top 8 decks and you can look at the other matches and see. You'll probably be able to make a good educated guess as to which decks might make it to semifinals. So you could probably estimate who you may face. And the tricky thing will be if you face a deck that has a lot of enchantments or that has combos. Some of these combos are really powerful. The fact that you don't have Desert Twisters and you're not running white for things like Presence of the Master, and also the fact that you've only got the 2 crumbles. A lot of the red-green decks run Scavenger Folks and crumbles. You may face some serious artifact challenges in the latter rounds, and the deck without the Scavenger Folks and without the crumbles may really struggle.
Yeah, I thought the same, but I wanted to make up a deck with direct and fast damage, hoping to outpace the opponent with fast attack, with direct damage, with burn. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
All right. Well, we will definitely see what happens. And congrats again, Lorenzo, for proceeding on.
Thanks.
Derek, congrats for making it to top 8 with such a spicy brew. We're definitely going to do a Spice Award for this event, and I think you would definitely be a contender for that with the Armageddon Clock deck. Very cool.
Yeah, a couple mods and I'll come back. I think And had I play tested it more and just not made a stupid ass mistake, I think I'd be going on.
Yeah,
That's all right.
never underestimate the value of practicing with your deck and being able to play a lot of practice matches. And also, you know, I don't know if you guys both looked at each other's deck photos, right? Because we released them just.
I did.
Yeah, that helps too. Like being able to see their
Yeah,
deck
me too.
photo, and a lot of the other players, particularly when we get to semifinals and finals, will hook up with a friend and they'll play their opponent's deck and practice against it, so you can find yourself in scenarios that are challenging and be able to kind of come up with an optimal play path when you're play testing. So those are all things that some of the more spiky and competitive players all do.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you can rewind too and be like, oh, let's go back 3 turns and redo that because it was dumb. And
Yes,
yeah.
yes. The value of being able to
Yeah.
play test your deck is very, very powerful. But really cool brew, Derek, that you put together here, and certainly you can always refine it for the next one.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, we will be signing off, and thanks again for joining
Okay.
us, and thanks for letting us do the live stream. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Derek.
Yep. Thanks, man. See you. Good luck.
See you.
See you
Bye.
guys.
Thanks.
All right, and with that, thanks for joining us for the video today. John and Chad here. We'll be signing off, and we'll catch you in the next one.